you want more?
Why don't you just make 10 louder and make 10 be the top number and make that a little louder?
These go to 11.
Walking stick. I don't know if it's proper to call it a walking stick or a cane, I guess, depending on age. I know I've used one of those many times.
This here has got my signature on it, and what we do with these,
right,
somewhere it's there it is. Anyways, what we do is my wife and I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah,
it's somewhere right around there.
Yeah, right there. Yep, there we go.
Anyways, we auction these off for homeless veterans and
nice.
Dog rescues.
Oh,
so a friend of mine, Remo Tuliani, is out of Arizona, and he does canes. He gave us matching umbrellas. My wife has dark.
Oh, wow.
He made an umbrella with red and black inside, pretty much like zebra. My wife's black and white, and then she's got black eyes. But he just continued this and just made them for me, so I could. They're with Swarovski crystals. We've gotten up to $1,800 for one.
Wow!
To help out animals and homeless veterans. So it's kind of a passion of my wife and I.
Sure. No, it's a pretty cool item there, you know, and it'd be a great piece of memorabilia. We
have we have 3 rescue dogs, one from Spain, Ringo.
Oh, wow.
And then we have 2 from the meat markets in South Korea. And last year, just after COVID was over, we had a event here in Las Vegas with a lot of the entertainers and raised 25 grand and shut down 2 of the meat markets in South Korea.
Oh, nice.
And saved 100 dogs. So
wow,
we got 2 here. We got Presley and Priscilla. I think Presley, he's my studio dog. He's in here.
Oh, yeah. Nice.
And then Ringo is from Spain, and he's a Bidango. So during the lockdown, we lost Elvis and Dio. So I feel like Ben-Hur with 4 dogs, you know, when I'm walking them.
That's pretty awesome. I mean, I got 3 dogs, and my wife and I are also do the rescue dog thing. Yeah, I mean, they're pretty grateful and stuff. We had a dog that got attacked by a coyote, believe it or not. And he's a schnauzer, and he lived. So it's crazy. And now he's more what would you say,
timid
loving
or aggressive?
What was that?
Is he more timid or aggressive?
You know, he's right down the middle. I know he had anxiety and stuff after the attack and would hide under the bed, but you know, he came back around, and now he's really careful, which I'm grateful for, because you know that was a brutal attack. But no, I'm with you as far as dogs, man. They're awesome.
Wish people were as cool as dogs, huh?
Oh yeah, exactly. I'd love it. Yeah, that'd be awesome. But we're not here to talk about dogs as much as I'd love to, you know, shoot the shit about dogs with you. But King Kobra, new record, We Are Warriors. So tell us how that came together, because you guys had a couple excellent records with yourself on vocals on Frontiers. My God, those records were fantastic.
Well, those were with the original lineup, except for me.
Right.
I tried to reach out to Mark and do a remake of the Love Hurts with him as a duet.
Oh, okay.
And on the first King Kobra record that I did with the band. And he didn't get back. So then I tried again, because that was recorded way back then. And then we did some changes to it on this record, but I tried the 2 records beforehand.
Oh, wow.
To get him on, just to do a duet with him, because he's a great singer. And but it didn't work out. So this last record, Carmine got a hold of me and said that Frontier wanted us to do a 3rd record, but Cleopatra was offering us something better. So he was already dealing with Cleopatra on his guitar Zeus.
Oh, yeah.
And I think maybe a Cactus album. I'm not sure. So he tossed this in there. I reached out to Rowan Robertson. First, it was going to be Robbie Lochner, who wrote some material on there.
Right.
Who's
He works with Jack Russell.
Jack
right?
Russell.
Yeah. Right. Mm-hmm.
And he was on tour with him, so we needed to get someone on board that could go out with the band and be a part of the band. So actually Robbie would have been great because he had contributed already parts to one song that we were writing on, and another song I think that he contributed was Drive. And then I said, well, okay, he can't do it, and he's a great guy, and I met with him, and we worked together over the phone in his studio, and then I have a studio here in my house. And then I suggested Rowan Robertson to Carmine and Carlos Cavazo.
Right.
So they both said yes. And then later on, Rowan decided he didn't want to be a part of the project due to, I have a feeling it had something to do with Raiding the Rock Ball.
Oh, right.
That he turned over to being the musical director. So it might have been the producer.
Yeah.
Maybe saying to him, you know what, I'm going to need you here at the show, and you're, you know, I'm not in a position to just let you go out and tour. So I'm really not sure how everything came down, but it was a little shocking to me that at the last minute that he had changed his mind, because then he wasn't in the video.
Yeah,
we
right.
had Tavis Stanley in the video, and the song basically, we were going to title the album "Music is a Piece of Art," which is on the album.
Sure.
And I had this guy doing all this artwork with Carmine's drums in there and all of these instruments. In fact, a flying V going up in between the double kick drum of Carlos's guitar. And the label decided they wanted to change it to "We Are Warriors." And "We Are Warriors" is about basically the time that we spent hanging out in the Strip during the 80s. I even did some tongue-in-cheek stuff like "Come Feel the Noise," and "Bang Your Head."
Right. Quiet Riot references. Yeah.
Dead, you know.
Sure.
So I tried to grab some lyrics from the Quiet Riot stuff, and also from Carmine. "You keep me hanging on till the hanging's done." And you can see movie stars, rock stars, movie stars, and girls with hot legs, because he wrote Hot Legs.
Yeah, Rod Stewart, right?
Yeah. So I kind of tried to put a little stuff in there because at first we were going to do it pretty much like about the movie The Warriors in the 70s. So the video ended up being sort of like that, New York, fire in the subway and stuff like that. The guy that did the editing on it did a phenomenal job, because we all did these our parts in separate states in front of different green screens.
Okay.
So, and the album was made the same way, which is kind of cool in a way, because you can like hone in on your parts, or you know, when you have that availability to go back maybe weeks after you've recorded something and go, I want to change the melody here, or I want to change some lyrics here. That for me, it's great. One thing is missing when you do it that way is that energy and connection that you have in a studio, because a studio, it has that vibe. When you walk in, it has a creative vibe, most of them anyways. They've set them up to where when you walk in there, you go, wow, this isn't like my home studio, even though I've got a really cool studio, and I've set it up to be somewhat with a on-hands board, a Control 24, and numerous speakers, and give it a rock vibe, or just a vibe when you come in and record. But some of the other guys were just recording directly onto GarageBand. I ended up being partially the producer and giving up production credits also to Pat Reagan, who mixed the record. And he was starting to add things to it that I thought, wow, you should get involved. You know, you should get a part of the production on this. I only got production because everybody was sending me everything.
Sending you were the gatekeeper.
Yeah, exactly. And we recorded everything with a click. And then everybody put their parts down. Then we'd send it to Carmine. And Carmine doesn't play on a click. He plays around it. So, or behind it a little bit.
Right.
So we had to re-record everything after he recorded his drums.
Oh, wow.
So the process took us quite a long time to do the record. Jeez. Took almost about 1.5 years, I think.
Now, if I recall, I mean, I think Carmine's still a huge fan of recording on tape. Did he do that? Yeah, okay. So that's another thing.
Yeah, and it doesn't make any difference, you know. I mean, the wave file looks different. It looks like it's slammed. It has no dimensions to it like it does when you do it digitally, because they're slamming it on the tape as hard as they can. And then when they transfer it, you can see that the wave file is different. And when it all comes to in the end, it all comes down to zeros and ones. And most people don't. Thank God this record has got CD with 12 tracks and vinyl with 10. So we have they released it on vinyl. So I finally, after 40 years, I got myself a turntable again. And I was doing an interview with a guy in I think it was New Jersey, and he said he had the first record I ever did was in 1972. I was 17 years old.
Oh, geez. Okay.
Did a record with Snuff Garrett, and it was called Paul and JoJo, and it was initially going to be called Paul and Coco, which was with Coco Dolan's, Mickey Dolan's sister.
Yeah.
And I gave out all my copies. It was a 45. The flip side of it was a song called What Would You Do Without Music? And this guy says, I have your promotional 45. I says, you're kidding. Well, at that time I didn't have the turntable. So he says, I'll send that to you if you send me some of your new stuff. So I sent him some new stuff. I got the 45, and then a guy sent me the 45 of Stars, which was interesting because I didn't have a copy of that. I have a copy of the LP.
Sure.
And then I did an interview with a guy in Arizona, and he said he had an MP3 of the song Follow Me. So the song came out. It was 22 with a bullet. And then on Bell Records, Snuff Garrett produced it, who did Liza Minnelli and Sonny and Cher and a bunch of people back in the 70s. And Vicki Lawrence came out with That's the Life and the Lights Went Out in Georgia. And they just shelved my record, and I never had a copy of it since. And then I got the 45 probably 5 years ago, and the MP3. And the friend of mine who started Gemini turntables and music for basically DJs finally sent me a turntable, and so now I'm able to play the little bit of vinyl I have. And but I was surprised that Cleopatra was going to release on vinyl, which makes it a little bit of a collector's item in a way.
Right. So in kind of just like we said at the beginning, King Kobra original lineup with yourself on vocals for the previous 2 records, right? So at some point, Mick and David stepped away. Was the band ever on hiatus, or had you disbanded? Once they were out of the picture, because I know it seemed like that there was something going on there with them not wanting to continue.
Well, after the second record, we went out and we took out Mick Mosqueda, went right back to we did a video, Have a Good Time, on the second album. Right. And we had Ace Frehley in there. We had Zakk Wylde. Right. We had all these people in there, and Danny Coker. I mean, I had all kinds of, we filmed it at Vamped, which is a rock club here in Las Vegas that's owned by Danny the Count Coker, who has his own show.
Counting Cars guy, right?
Exactly. And I've been on there. I've been so gracious that and humbled that he had me on the show. And he knows I'm a Cadillac guy, so he tried to sell me a '69 Cadillac, but I already had a Caddy. So, but it was all in good fun. Sure. And I told him, I says, we need to run by and see my wife and see Alice. I was trying to do a tongue in cheek there where they cut that out. But we did that video at his club and had a lot of people that were Vegas entertainers. Vinnie Paul even got on the drums. Carrot Top, you know, Carmine was swapping out people on the drums in the middle of the video. And it was a great video. It was about coming to Vegas and having a good time. And we did the Sweden Rock Fest, which didn't come off as well as we wanted it to, unfortunately. And Mick had left the band and went back to the Bullet Boys. And so we brought out a guy named Jordan Zick. And Jordan now, he was playing with RATT for a while.
Right. I remember that. He's the guy with the Hello Kitty guitar, right?
Yes.
Right.
So anyways, at that point, David Phillips Henzerling decided he wouldn't do any more records in King Kobra. So when we had this third offer, Mick declined. I said, okay, I will. Who are we going to have play guitar? And Carmine started throwing out guitar players. Robbie Lochner was one. Because he had just did a whole album, Guitar Zeus, with all of these guitar players. Tommy Thayer, and to name a few. And anyways, when Robbie couldn't do it, I said, well, let me reach out to Carlos, because Carlos and I were doing a project called Rough Riot with part of the Rough Cut guys.
Right.
Me, Sean McNabb, and Carlos from the Quiet Riot side. And that didn't seem to work out personality wise. So we put it together so we could go out and do some work. Hopefully that we would maybe record some stuff, but it didn't come about that way. And we all parted our ways. And then Carmine reached out to me and Remo here and said, hey, would you be interested in doing this project? And he said, you know, you're going to pretty much a lot of it laid on my shoulders, because I had to write the melodies, the lyrics. I had to somewhat arrange songs. Carlos would send me songs that would be completely finished, except for melodies and lyrics.
Okay.
So he would put the bass down and a drum groove with a click. And so when we got the lineup with Rowan and Carlos, then everybody started. Rowan came to my house. He would do stuff at his own studio and solos and stuff. And then he would go, you know what? I really feel comfortable working with you. You kind of bring out some of the best of me. And sometimes it's that way, you know, even when you're working with somebody else, you seem to want to maybe impress them a little bit more, or you want to try a little harder. I know I do when I sing, when I'm on the other side of the glass, when I'm sitting here in my own studio, sometimes I get lazy, you know, and then want to go back and redo something and with a little bit more feeling, a little bit more attitude. And doing that, sometimes you can do line for line, looking for melodies. And like I said, I could come back a week later, seeing how the record took so long. And I could change lyrics or melodies and some stuff. Or if somebody in the band had a different idea for something, then we could chop it up. It was a lot of work on my end. And I knew it was going to be when I got involved. I knew it was going to fall on my shoulders more so than everybody else's, because there weren't anybody else that were like when I've done records with Jeff Northrup. He's the songwriter. David Henserling wrote a lot of the songs, lyrics and melodies. So he's a good, you know, you have guitar players, there's songwriters, and you have guitar players that write riffs and leave it up to the singer to pick up the other end of it with a melody and lyrics. Yeah. So it was a lot of work, but I'm really glad that it came out as good as it did. And I'm not ashamed of I'm singing better than I ever sang. In fact, after we finished that record, Michael Voss, who produces Michael Schenker.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I've done a record with him in the past, called Chasing Your Dreams. So he reached out to me and he says, I've got all of these songs sitting around. Some have lyrics and melodies. Would you be interested? And I said, yeah, well, let me check them out. So he started sending me stuff. Stuff is a little bit like Police and Led Zeppelin. It's totally different than Schenker or, you know. And so I got Carmine involved. And then I reached out to Phil Soussan, who's with Last in Line. And also we've been friends for a long time. And I said, hey, you guys interested in checking this? Well, we wrote this album in a month. And then Michael had to go back to Michael Schenker. So, and finish what he was doing. He was producing his record and then probably touring. So the record's sitting around, and hopefully, you know, down the road, we'll release this as Voss, a piece, Soussan and Shortino, or Shortino and Soussan. So it'll be VASS.
Nice.
Initially, Michael wanted to do another Shortino album. And when I got those guys involved, it became a super group. And we thought about calling it VASS, everybody's last name, Project One. Stay tuned for Project Two. So I don't know what's going to happen to it, but there's some. Carmine got back to me and he goes, you know, these songs on this thing that we're doing with Voss, how come you didn't write some songs like that on the King Kobra record? And I said, well, we didn't have a songwriter like Michael Voss who was sending some material. So we, you know, we had to do the best we could with the situation we had. By Rowan coming over here, like Trouble on that is da 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 da, you know, I just hum a little thing to him and then he'd play it his own way. And then he would take it and come up with another idea, and then we piece stuff together. And so that's kind of like the record, how it came about. We were just like sending ideas to each other, piecing stuff together, and then sending it back to Carmine to cut the drums. And then us all having to recut our parts. And then Pat Reagan, who mixed it, wanted guitar tracks with their sound on it. And then he wanted guitar tracks with a clean sound, because he had this plug-in that he was using for Richie Blackmore's, some of his old Rainbow stuff and some of his Gothic stuff and new Rainbow stuff with Ronnie Romero. So, so anyways, he says, I've got this great plug-in, so have the guys send me their tracks clean. And so then they sent me all their tracks with the groove, with their sound on it. And then I go, I need you to send me now those same things without any effects on them, just clean. And they go, well, how can we get the feeling? I says, you already have the feeling. You know, you've got the effects on the track. Just take the effects off. And then send me the file clean, and I'll send it to Pat. And that's pretty much how this whole thing came together. It was really wild.
Wow, man, that's some awesome stuff. Yeah, and how records are made these days. I think it gives us a different perspective on kind of somebody coming from the old school and also adapting to the new ways of doing things. And also during the whole COVID thing, I mean, that kind of wrecked things for a lot of people. So I think everybody had to adapt.
It ruined a lot of the music business. And restaurants, bars, where music people perform.
Right.
You know, I mean, the governor here got caught 2 or 3 times going out to dinner, and the owners of the place were performers. So they're performing for the governor, and we're all not allowed to go out here in Las Vegas. And it was really weird.
Yeah.
I did a thing with John Taffer at the MGM, me and him and I guess it was Miss Las Vegas. And so we were judges for a chef cookout, and they gave these chefs everyone a backpack with little sausages in them and spam. So, and then they had a bunch of vegetables that they had their sous chefs to go out and grab in a certain amount of time. Well, we were the judges, John Taffer, Miss Las Vegas, and myself. Well, Miss Las Vegas, we didn't know, myself and John Taffer didn't know that she was the first transgender Miss Las Vegas. So here we're both chatting on her like she's a female, and I told my wife, and she says, "Oh no, that's the first transgender Miss Nevada." And I went, "Wow, you'd never know it." I didn't know it, you know. But there were some fans there. It was a lot of fun, and we all agreed on the same thing. Oh my, excuse me.
Yeah,
I can't talk right now. That's what I tell them.
I was going to tell you.
My phone's connected with all my iPads, and I have this all set up just in the studio for doing this sort of interviews.
Not a problem. In fact, I'm going to have to hop off. I have another call coming up myself, but I wanted to get a couple things before I let you go. I have to prioritize. This is going to be for We Go to 11. As you know, that's kind of a Spinal Tappy type deal. And you're Duke Fame in the movie. So a couple things related to that, because there is going to be a sequel. Hopefully they don't ruin it, but you know the whole premise behind it. The guys get back together, hate each other's guts like a lot of bands, Motley Crue. And then, they have separate tour buses, all that stuff. Everything is separate. But a couple of things, because you are Duke Fame. And one, how often do you get recognized as Duke Fame, for the average person that may not know your work with Rough Cut, Quiet Riot, and King Kobra?
Well, what's interesting is that when we first did it, and it's really weird how I got, if you want to, I'll take a real quick, give you a real quick a backup. And when I got the gig, so what happened is Wendy Dio, the manager of Rough Cut, put an ad out in a local paper, and we were playing the Troubadour. So the casting crew from Spinal Tap came, saw the ad in the paper, came to the Troubadour, asked myself, Jake Williams, Jakey Lee, who was in Rough Cut, and Dave Alford, the drummer, to come to Denny's. I think it was Denny's on Lankershim and Sherman Way in North Hollywood. I showed up early. I was dressed in the white leather and the black. That was my own outfit. I showed up like that at the casting call. Boom. Wardrobe saw me and went, "That's Duke Fame." Well, I went in, met Rob Reiner. Boom. I got the gig. The other guys showed up late. Now we're out on the road. Well, now we're filming it. We're filming it at the Holiday Inn in Burbank. I'm not even, Rough Cut's not signed yet. So we are A&R guys, Tom Wally. He gets Ted Templeman to sign the band after this movie. So we're sitting there, and the girl that I'm in the movie with was actually going out with Jackson Browne. Well, he left her for Daryl Hannah. And Daryl Hannah did Splash at that time. Well, I'm sitting there with Wendy Dio and this girl who was going out with Jackson Browne. I see Paul Benedict behind the desk, and they're doing a scene, and my scene hasn't come up yet. Everything's ad-lib. There's no script. It's just a little bit of ad-lib stuff. Howard Hessman's my manager from Cincinnati at WRKP or whatever. And see, and I'm an Ohio guy, we hit it off. And there's so many people in this movie that I don't even know about yet because I haven't seen the movie. And I don't even know what they're going to call me or say to me. So I'm sitting there and I'm telling Wendy Dio and this girl, I'm going, man, these guys are having a bad hair day. So we take a lunch break. I'm sitting across the table from
Right.
Harry Shearer, Christopher Guest, Michael McKeon, and the drummer Rick Parnell. And I'm sitting right next to Rob Reiner, and I'm pushing Rough Cut songs, trying to get him in the movie. He's going, no, kid, we've got songs for the movie.
Yeah.
Trust me. Big Bottom, My Girl's Got Them.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm going, okay, that's all satire stuff. I didn't know this at the time. So anyways, I shoot my part. You know, Howard Hessman makes up the Normo Dome and all of that stuff.
Right.
And so I do the scene. Now we're going out on the road. Rough Cut gets signed. We're opening up for Crocus and Accept. And we're the third bill. We're sitting in the dressing room. We can't get a line check, you know, because of the times. And we're right up, you know, when you're warming up for two other bands, you're right on the monitors. Right. And the next band's set up. So you have to put your stuff out there, or the drummer's set up and they roll the other guy's stuff out. And then they pull their stuff off, and the other guys is set up. They pull their stuff, and then the headliner's there. Right. So the road manager walks by our dressing room and goes, "Are you Duke Fame?" And I go, "Yes," because at that time, everybody had it on their tour bus. Sure. They were showing it at the Holiday Inns and the Howard Johnsons. So yeah, I says, "I am Duke Fame." He says, "Well, Mark Sorachi and the guys from Crocus want to meet you." I go, "Are you kidding me?" Well, we went from having no line check to getting a line check. Oh, wow. I was picking up the Dios. They had their own limo company. The movie had been out for a while. I go to the airport with the limo driver, and I'm not on tour with Rough Cut at the time. And we go to the LAX, pick up Ronnie and Wendy, and REO's on the plane with them. Well, they're getting in a shuttle bus, and they see me getting in and loading stuff in with the limo driver into their limo. And they go, "Are you Duke Fame?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm Duke Fame." Yeah. They said, "Are you playing the Normo Dome? I mean, you got your limo here, and we're getting in a shuttle bus." So I got to meet actually all the guys, and I've known Dave Amato for probably 25 years, but this was actually before Dave was in the band that I met the original guitar player. So it's unbelievable how small of a part I had in that movie, that I get more recognition sometimes for Duke Fame than Paul Shortino. And it just amazes me, you know, that people, "Dude, are you?" And I'm going, yeah. You know, is it the white outfit that I still have? My mother washed the white leather coat in the washing machine. I don't know what she was thinking. God rest her soul. But I'm hoping, I've got an agent that I've reached out to see about getting me in the second one
the sequel.
Say, you know, Duke Fame's alive, even though his manager died. You know, and try to get in the second one. I know this one is about, they all hate each other. They're on separate buses. And they all need the money. You know, like you were saying, like a lot of bands.
Like a lot of bands, right?
Yeah.
Oh man, that's
we're gonna do our final tour, our send off. You know,
the first of many farewell tours. Yeah, you know, that kind of a thing. Oh my God. Hey, Paul, thank you for your time. I'm going to hit you up again because I got a whole list of other stuff in my head that I was going to ask you.
I'm doing a thing called Rock Meets Classic.
With the symphony and all that, right?
Yes. And some of the guys on this project are the guys from Supertramp. I think the guys from Thin Lizzy. I used to be in a band with Scott
Gorham, right?
Yeah, years ago I was in a band with him. Okay. And I'm also doing a thing called the Icons of Classic Rock. We've been touring South America a lot. It's with Alex Leverwood from Santana, right? And Wally Palmer from the Romantics. Johnny Edwards from Foreigner. He did one record. Then Lou got back in the band. Also, David Pickler, who did Eye of the Tiger with Survivor, the original singer. Also, Dave Evans and Fran Cosmo. So I'm doing a gig at the end of the month in Mexico again. And we've been playing Bolivia. So we've got dates in Spain for next year.
Nice.
So
So we'll plug everything. We'll plug everything, and I will reach out so we can do this again, and maybe we can talk more dogs, more rock and roll. I mean, that's awesome stuff, man.
Ruben.
Hey,
it's really been an honor rapping with you.
It's a pleasure talking with you. I mean, I've met you a couple times at the various NAMs throughout the years, but hey, man, thank you so much. We'll get this online, get you links so you can share it with all the folks on Twitter or X now these days, and Facebook and whatnot. So thank you so much.
God bless you and stay safe, my brother.
You too. Take care. Until next time, huh?
All right. You got it.
Bye. Bye.